All right, so today we are going to be obviously covering the marketing foundations and first steps. For the MSP Camp members, there's a lot of resources and guides. For those not MSP Camp members, this might be an introduction to MSP Camp and what we do. Either way, the goal of today is to describe what are the foundational steps you need to be doing at your MSP, and what are some of the first steps to take. Like for instance, when I started as a marketing coordinator, I had no idea what to do, and I was literally updating our CRM with what industry the people work at. And I would spend days doing that because I just didn't know what to do. So we're really hoping today gives you enough really good guidance on where to start first and how to get going in marketing and MSP, doing stuff that's actually going to help grow your MSP. All right, I want to tell a quick story. If you listen to the podcast, you know I'd like to tell stories as much as possible that are relevant. About 7 years ago, Tom Bowles, the owner of Alltech, and his techs were screaming, "We need to hire another person. We need to hire another person." There was only 2 techs, and so Tom did hire another person, and that was me instead of another tech. This is our first team photo we took after I was there for about, I don't know, 6 months to a year. So as you can see, the team had already grown a little bit with Sam in the top right. And so this was our first picture. We didn't even have logoed shirts. We were just this tiny MSP that worked out of basically like a warehouse. Every time it rained, we couldn't talk on the phone because it was so loud. We had like a metal roof. Like that's literally where we were. It was pretty brutal. And then fast forward to the latest Christmas picture. This was us this year, and it's just obviously a much bigger team. We're wearing the shirts. It's just, not even everybody's pictured. So it's cool that just in 6 years from that first photo to where we are today and where we're going, it's just fun. It's fun and it's cool, and everyone's excited to be here. And that's where, a lot of you may already be, a lot of you may want to be, but either way, being a bigger business comes with its own challenges, but I would take this all day over being the small company we were. And then recently, Tom Bowles, the owner of Alltech, won the 2021 Lifetime Achievement Award, which was super cool. I put in the nomination for him and I wrote up his whole narrative, and he deserves this. It was super cool. Like, I never really see him emotional, but he was super emotional about this whole thing. So just wanted to tell that story to kind of frame when we first started, we were not growing a lot. We were not getting leads a lot. We didn't know what to do when it came to marketing or sales. We were just an IT company, and we were just one other IT company and a bunch around us. And it's cool today that I can confidently say we stand out from the rest and we continue to grow at a healthy pace. And it's not a difficult thing to do. It's really not. And so that's what we're going to kind of get into today. All right. First thing to cover, one of the most important things before you start doing anything. Who are you targeting? I'm going to pause here because I think we really need to look at this and understand this. It's who are we targeting? Because when you're doing campaigns and you're marketing into the void, it's not really going to be effective. It's important to understand who your ideal target is. How do you find out your ideal target? Look at your current client base. What are your best clients? Create a marketing persona for that. For instance, Tom kind of is my marketing persona. He's like the typical person I go after. He's either president or CEO. He loves golf. He's around 45 to 65. He's a male. Usually we're going after the males. They're easy to sell to, extremely difficult to get a hold of. Slow to move, but ready to act when ready. So that's why we got to stay in front of them, right? So mapping out this persona. Another thing is the personas are changing a little bit. The last few leads that we've gotten were introduced by the younger person at the company. They're not the owner, they're not the CEO, they're not the COO, but they are the ones that introduced us to the owner, and we got a really big client out of it. So it might be how our marketing is shifted, but it's also showing that the target market can be shifting. So you need to know who you need to be targeting. And this is a pretty simple exercise. So before we talk about anything, make sure you understand this one concept, super important. You might want to see, if you're in a smaller city, you might want to map out every single business that's around you and try and know who the decision maker is at that business. There's lots of ways to do that, and there's a guide on MSP Camp to do that. So I don't want to spend too much time on that. But under truly knowing the names and the businesses and the marketing persona you want to go after before you start doing anything. All right, passing it to Steven.
Yeah, I'll jump in here. So, hey everybody, I'm Steven, and I'm the marketing coordinator over at MSP Camp. Taher brought me along in my last year of college, and then right after graduating, I came on to the team. So it's been great, and I can take it from here. So basically, for getting process to your websites, you never want to be the MSP that isn't getting leads from your website. For us, for all tech, it's always been a great kind of continuous way for us to get leads in the background based off of the things that we built there. So just starting off with listings, we're going to talk a lot about Google My Business later on in this presentation, but starting out just with listings on Upcity and Clutch, these are two different listing sites that are actually great for showing different reviews on the website that isn't just Google My Business. And a lot of times MSPs aren't actually using these resources to stand out. So for SEO, it's great because it's another listing source for your reviews. And I'd advise to look at both of them, especially Upcity, as it's very easy to get it posted on there and stand out as a top MSP just by having your listing up there. A lot of MSPs aren't even doing that. For Google My Business, I won't go too far into it since we'll talk about it later on, but reviews are a huge thing. We love to talk about just reviews, reviews, reviews. You can always be getting more reviews. And for SEO and the map pack, which ranks greatly for people to actually see your MSP when they look up, they need IT services wherever they are, that's essential. So we'll continue that later on as well. Otherwise, for SEO, we always have a focus on excellent content that stands out from the bunch. If we're making a blog, we don't want it to just be fluff. We want it to have actual actionable items in it, table of contents, images, videos, something that's actually going to stand out if somebody does land on your website so they don't just bounce off. Otherwise, in advertising, we're always focusing on variety. So you want to make sure, depending on the advertising platform you're using, you're actually going to be using different content. And we'll talk about that later on as well. And then otherwise, social media, this will be followed up on too, but consistency is key when it comes to social media. We make sure we have our posting schedule happening every week with our coordinator here, and it works out great just for getting our content out to everybody in a distribution sense. But yeah, you always want to be driving to your website in some way or another, and it comes as a kind of result of having everything together.
Yeah, so key point here, I saw a Reddit post, someone's like, "Oh yeah, websites just to look professional." Make sure that's not you. And we're going to get into some specifics here in the presentation, but just make sure you understand. And a lot of people on this call already know you. You know, you do understand this. I see your website. I see what you're doing. It's great. There's other people on this call that may not, they don't even have a good website, or the website never brings them leads. You don't want to be that MSP, because if you've read the they ask you answer, like, it's so true that people are researching. I know a lot of us grow from referrals, but you also have to be growing from obviously marketing, and a big part of that will be your website. All right, moving on. So to hit on the website a little bit more, none of us are going to be SEO experts. I think I need to say that right now. It's okay. Like, but SEO is not something that we can just take off of our mind, because SEO is super important. Don't worry, we're going to talk about AI, Chat GPT on the next slide. But currently, and probably for the next few years, SEO is super duper important. Like, here's an example. I wrote, a page like 6 years ago on like managed IT service pricing, because I couldn't find it anywhere. And I was like, I have some information to shed on this. We've ranked #1 for that forever. Business premium. We started selling business premium, and I was like, I want to write a nice guide on the differences between business standard and business premium, so I can not only educate my customers on it, but so I can get co-managed prospects, which is exactly what would happen. So if somebody searches in like business premium versus business standard or business basic, or whatever, Alltech's been #1 in that spot for a really long time. And that's consistently brought us, some co-managed leads. Not all of them work out, but I'd rather get that lead than not get it. So we're going to go into some specifics here. We talk about Search Console, Keyword Planner, Rank Math. I don't want to scare you. Don't worry. You may know what this is. You may not know what it is. I'm going to show it to you, so it just makes it super simple. And all this is recording, so you can go back and reference it. IT Services Pittsburgh, that might be too competitive a keyword, right? You might have big MSPs that already like kill that keyword. That's fine. Like, what other things do you sell and do you provide that you can go after when it comes to SEO? I have one MSP I know. He is a big reseller, and I think it's like CyberPower or something. So he wrote a lot of content on CyberPower because they could only sell through distributors like him, and he makes a ton of money just on hardware distribution, from that one article he wrote. as well as other things. But you can think about specific vendors and specific long tail keywords. Again, I'm not going to get too far in the weeds here, but start thinking about SEO. And if you have a coordinator, make sure they understand it. And whether that means you're doing it in-house or you're hiring an SEO specialist, SEO is super important. I mean, I can track back $1 million in revenue to SEO, because there's a lot of other things that go into it. When they land on your site, it needs to look good. You have to have good content, all the other things. But from just them finding us, a lot of it came through SEO. So you have to pay attention here. It's not spam. This is not a scam. SEO is not a scam thing. It's just difficult, but it's important. So I just want to hit on that pretty hard because it's something I don't see talked about a lot, especially in the MSP space. But I mean, it's vital. Like, I couldn't imagine doing marketing without having some type of emphasis on SEO. And then a couple key pieces here. Location pages. So we're in Lakeland. We already have #1 for IT support, IT services in Lakeland, but there's like other cities around us, like Plant City, Winter Haven. Some of these smaller cities that other large MSPs aren't targeting. Cool. Let's set up a separate page because we do service that area, but a separate specific page on IT services in X city. Here's an interesting anecdote. Like with MSP Camp, we lock per county in the US. And I thought, oh, there's 3,400 counties in the US. Like, we're not gonna have to deny people for a long time. Totally wrong. We have to deny multiple people every single week because it seems like there's hotspots throughout the US, right? Like Las Vegas and Dallas, Texas, and all these places that are highly competitive in the MSP market. And then other places, there's just barren maps on the map for MSP is either not there or not interested because maybe it's not as competitive there. So that's an anecdote, but like you could start going after from an SEO perspective. You don't want to spread your marketing dollars, but you can start going after some of those less targeted cities with location pages. Okay, I hope I'm not overwhelming you. I know SEO can be a lot. It's just important stuff to cover. And then one simple thing here is backlinks. So backlinks is basically when someone links to your site. This is still very important with SEO. Here's an example of that. We got featured in the local Ledger. It's like a newspaper, but they have obviously digital. They forgot to link to our website. They have a high what's called domain authority. So just remember, if someone links to your website or talks about you, just ask, can you link to my website? They're happy to do it, but now you know to make sure to ask for that backlink, which is just a link to your website. That just tells Google that these other sites trust you and these sites are trusted. So it kind of moves you up a little bit. All right. So we won't go too hard in SEO because we have a lot to cover today. We're going to have a whole guide on SEO. We're going to have a whole course on SEO. There's a lot coming for those current members and people who are not members. There's a lot coming on SEO and other things. All right, moving on. Any questions on any of this? Definitely throw it in the chat. We're going to have plenty of time for Q&A. All right.
Yeah, so I was going to jump in and just kind of spotlight how we use AI in our marketing. And just starting off, so initially when you hear AI in marketing, you might just be thinking, oh, they're just plugging into the blogs and then posting up that immediately. And that's really not the case at all. Basically, we've used AI in marketing for MSP Camp, blogs, things like that to really put paint on canvas when we start out a guide, blog, social media caption, etc. And we did that with the benefits of Intune, provided in non-technical terms, which we posted out on MSP Camp as well. But basically, what we're finding is that all you can do with AI is really based on the writing style and what you tell it to do. If you're not directing it to do the correct things or kind of coaching it to do the correct things, it's not going to do it and it's going to turn out basically repetitive content. You can tell a lot of times if something has been written entirely by an AI and not doctored or improved at all, basically. But we found that we can add social media captions that I've written in the past or Taher has written in the past and say, emulate this writing style for a social media post about VoIP bottlenecks or something like that. And it does a great job of mimicking it. It's honestly kind of scary sometimes, but it is very impressive and it definitely streamlines the process. So we found that using this as a start out for creating a blog takes writing a good blog from 2 hours of working, kind of deciding what you're going to cover, covering all that information. Now we can have a great framework laid out that we can heavily edit and improve and send out. And that takes about 30 minutes to 45 minutes just because we have that layout. And then obviously you need to verify the information is correct. Everything there is what you actually want to post out. But by using that as a framework and then actually adding your own personal touch to it, it really does streamline the process of a lot of marketing. But there's also a lot of other AI tools to consider going into the future. And we're going to write a whole guide as we get more familiar with these and cover them for you guys when we send it out. Yeah.
Here's an example. When you ask AI, or we're specifically talking about ChatGPT, which everyone on this call has messed with, right? And what you'll find about ChatGPT is it's almost like someone that did a lot of homework the night before and they're doing their best to answer. So they're going to put a lot of like kind of general answers, but some of it's really good. I asked, because we're working on this healthcare campaign right now, and I was like, okay, ChatGPT, please explain why the business premium license or the E5 licenses are really good to help healthcare organizations with compliance. And as you'd expect, it kind of went on like a generic, like, it didn't really do that great of job. So then I was like, okay, well, I know what I always sell on when I'm talking to healthcare practices when it comes to compliance. So I layered out the 12 things that I talk on. I say, all right, ChatGPT, use these as your basis and then expand on it. Did a wonderful job of taking what's in my head based on these sales meetings and what I know I want to market, and then fleshing them out a little bit more. So with AI, and what you've already experienced as you've been working in AI, is it requires a lot of instruction, but it's a great way to get paint on canvas.
Yep. And then the one word of caution is always just like it's very good at making things sound correct when they might not be at all. So we always have to go back and double check everything because it'll use the best language for it. It'll sound completely legit, and then it turns out that the information it's feeding you is just plain wrong. So
Yeah.
that's always just a word of caution as well.
Yeah, and I think everyone's already heard that, for sure. I agree with you. It's one of those things. It's like we've all seen it. We all probably like it or don't like things about it, but you should be using it. You should be using it for idea creation and other things with your marketing. All right, website best practices. I'm gonna give it to Steven because he's our website guru.
Yeah. So for best practices, we just wanted to outline a few of the main ones that have just been part of Alltech from since I joined and Taher instilled in me just based on what we've done. But the first main one that I learned really quickly was that we're always focused on using real people rather than stock images for basically a lot of our website and our design. That's not to say that stock images should never be used and that they don't have their own purpose, but especially when you first land on a website, the header when it's a stock image, you can tell, and a lot of times that'll lead people to bounce off the site. And on our website, we have Taher immediately right on there in his
No one
image.
else
But
would no one else would take the picture.
just showing real people of people that or real images of people that work at your business, including team photos later on the website, it just adds that personal touch, and it really does make you stand out because a lot of MSPs aren't doing this at all, and they're just going for the generic professional approach that really does like you see it often and it definitely becomes noise.
And what's cool is I've seen like other people really talking about this as of late, like the guy from Wingman, MSP, and Paul Green. Like I'm seeing other people really pushing this, which is great. Now, the thing is, we might be worried like, oh, now every MSP is going to have people on their site. Nope, because what happens is a lot of people hear good advice like this, and then they don't do anything. You know it, I know it. Happens to me. I hear good advice. Sometimes I
It's
don't
the
do the
head nods,
thing.
yeah, and then
So, we need more good advice going out because only 5% of people usually are going to really take most of the good advice. So be that 5% is my point. All right, go ahead, Steven. Sorry. Just like the
no, you're
podcast, I
good.
keep
Jump
cutting
in
Steven
whenever.
off. All right, good.
But otherwise, with your homepage especially, and even service pages as well, you never just want to stuff it for the sake of just having information there, because the last thing you want to do is overwhelm somebody who's landed on your site. So, like Tyler told me before, it's like everybody always wants a new banner on every page of their site or a new section added to the homepage, but really it should be the most engaging information content that's going to direct somebody to actually reach out through a contact form or get in contact with your business. So you definitely want to make sure you're not just including things for the sake of including them. Otherwise, I mean, do you want to talk about live chat a little bit, Taher? Because I know you have experience setting it up with HubSpot.
Yeah, super important to have a live chat. I mean, people are love like hesitancy to put contact forms in nowadays. So having live chat's easy. Like I think on MSP Camp we use HubSpot. I pay for one for HubSpot, but there's a free HubSpot plugin. A lot of your CRMs, if you're already using one, have a live chat plugin. It's nice. You get like a text on your phone. You can reply to it. It's great. Like I have so many conversations with MSP Camp members and potential members just over HubSpot, over live chat. So definitely you definitely want to have it, and it's super easy to implement, like super easy.
Yep. And then in combination with that, in the sake of keeping things simple and not overwhelming, we always keep our contact page simple. And we've actually gone to an area where we're using pop-ups now to engage people more. Taher, I can share my screen
Yeah,
real
do you want to
quick
show
if you want
that?
us over. Yeah, I was going to show it from the Data Magic site.
Awesome. I'll stop sharing so you can kind of show this.
Yeah. So it should be popping up. But so this is the site of Data Magic, a member of our peer group. And what we've done for this site is, so obviously you have the site, which you can scroll through as usual,
Social
testimonials at the
proof,
top,
social proof, social
which we'll
proof.
talk on later. But the big thing that's integrated into this site is instead of a static contact page that you travel to and it takes to a separate page that might disengage somebody entirely, they click at the top and it makes a pop-up come up on the screen. So this has all the capabilities of a normal contact page, and you can select, add everything, schedule your consultation. But then if you're not quite convinced yet, if the user wants to see a little bit more from the site, they can click off and continue from wherever they are on the site. So we found this to be really effective just for the user journey, even on blog pages, service pages specifically. If somebody clicks off that page, there's a good chance they're not going back. By having this integrated directly into it, it does improve that chance that they're going to stay on and get more value out of it. Yeah, that was all I wanted to touch on in that area. Yeah, and then otherwise, service pages are just high value. That's a pretty self-explanatory one. You always want to make sure your service pages are standing out like the blogs. You want to have videos on there, break it down into table of contents, just really drive people to see that you're putting effort into those pages, since that's where a lot of people fall. For Data Magic specifically, their cybersecurity page has been ranking a lot recently. So we put more work into that page with a banner, things like that, that are going to kind of continue the momentum from people landing on that page.
Which we'll get into on the analytics. So don't worry. What Steven just said, we're going to show you exactly how to find that, right? We want to make this as actionable as possible. Another example on the service pages, like I'll even put stuff on there that we resell, like, VoIP, or Steven, can you mute whoever that is? Like like VoIP or like internet service. We are resellers of internet service through our master agent. I have a page for that, and we get leads all the time, people looking for internet. Perfect. Not only can I provide internet for you, but now I can have that larger conversation, right? So like really putting a lot of time and effort, making sure you have the best service page in your city, which is not that difficult to do, which again,
Yeah, a lot of people go generic. So
yeah, like when you write it yourself and or if you hire an SEO specialist to just write a one-page service page for you, like it's not that hard to rank because most people aren't doing this that great. Okay, I know we have a lot to cover, so I'm gonna keep going. Google
we
My
say that a
Business.
lot.
I know. Google My Business, not gonna spend a lot of time here. This is low-hanging fruit. It's called like Google Places now or whatever. Get as many 5-star reviews as you can. I can't stress that enough. I tell this to my peer group all the time, and then they say, "Oh, that's a great idea." And then we check in a month,
That's what
and no
happens.
one's
Yeah.
got any more reviews. I'm like, it's not like this is going to give you a ton of new leads. It's not like Google My Business is going to just all of a sudden bring you a ton of leads. But if you're ranking in that top 3 spots in the Mac Pack, that's the first thing that shows up after the ads on Google. So even if someone has the best SEO on the planet, but they don't rank in that map pack, they're getting skipped all the time. So if your only goal with SEO, if your only goal with SEO is to make sure you're in that top 3 on the map pack, which is that, I think we're about to see it, which is the actual map, like it's like ads and then the map. Because when someone's searching IT company near me or IT services Lakeland or whatever, they're seeing that map. And so if we get way more views than everybody else, it's going to get you up on that algorithm. We have a MSP camp member who really took this seriously. He was not even showing up on the map pack at all, and I hope he's on this call. And he's now gone from like 5 to like 50 reviews in like a month, and he's way up there now, way up. Like he's going to be in the top 3 probably in the next couple months. And again, this can't be your whole strategy, but it's something that needs to be included in what you're doing. Like every week we try and get a new review. Okay, we have a guide on that. Oh, the guide's next. So this is how you get more reviews.
Yeah, I mean, following up on that, the reason we always push reviews too is that it's very easy to get them when you know where to look and how to send it out. So the big thing is that no matter how great the service you are is providing, everything's going perfect, you nail a job, a client is not going to just give you a 5-star review unprompted basically ever, even though it would
Basically
seem
ever.
that way. You always have to ask in some way. It's definitely something that is frustrating when you think about it, but most of the time when you ask, people are more than willing to leave a review. So it really is just that step of being like, hey, would you mind leaving me a 5-star review? I'd really appreciate it. And usually, if you really did knock that job out of the park, it's going to be a resounding yes. So that always works out well, but you need to ask first. And otherwise, yeah, it's just a huge effect on the map pack and the overall SEO of your business. And this is just from the Google My Business view when you're logged into Google My Business. And it's really just an area right there, ask for reviews. You click on that and it gives you a custom URL that can be sent to anybody. They click that URL and they can fill out their review and it'll just go right up on your Google My Business. It's really that simple. So utilizing those two together is a great way to like just basically balloon your reviews from where they were before. And we also have a guide on that. Just Google
Yeah.
My Business in general.
We're going to go, as we're going through this, we're going to show the guides. And again, even if you're not an MSP Camp member, these are totally free. So we really make them as actionable as possible. Like we showed in this, like what are the services we listed? Like we really try and make these as actionable as
It's
possible.
exactly what we've done.
It's
Yep.
exactly. So make sure you check that out and get that. All right, moving on to remarketing. I'm going to show an example here as well. If you listen to the podcast, you already are familiar with what remarketing is, and I'm just going to show you an example of how we do it with Facebook. This is another reason we try and get people to our site as much as possible. Our site is our resume. It's where it's our selling tool. It's like our virtual salesperson. So when someone lands on that, it's either a prospect, a client, maybe someone trying to sell to us, or someone in India. It's huge. So, but that one category, the prospect, we want to stay in front of them in a lot of different ways. Like a lot of people that even are doing remarketing, they do the same ad for like 6 months. It's like the same ad of their logo. And it's like, that's not effective remarketing. So I just want to show you real quick what it looks like on the Facebook remarketing of how we're doing it. Okay. Oh, that was easy. All right, cool. So, we got, this is our, all tech meta business suite. It's a little different. There's your Facebook page, then there's the business suite, then there's the ads manager, and then there's event manager. When it comes to Facebook, just hire someone on Upwork, which we'll talk about, because this is a pain in the butt. Like the ads within Facebook's a pain in the butt. So anyway, all right, so we get into ads manager, and I just want to show you, we have our remarketing display ads. We also have a contact list of prospects I want to work with that are in here. But if we go to the remarketing display ads, like these are all the ads we're running right now. Oh, this is for MSP Camp, which is fine too. So we're doing it with MSP Camp too, right? So we have like, hey, here's our free guides. We have this like funny photo of me lighting up a bunch of stuff. We've got like a Tinder swipe ad. So there's a ton of different ads for Facebook to choose from to try and serve to our prospects. Specifically for Alltech, we've got the event that we got coming up. We've got a testimonial, these funny videos. So we've got lots of different ads that we've fed it. So if somebody has landed on our website, it's not like they're seeing the exact same ad. They're seeing all these different ads that explain us in all these different ways. And like this last 30 days, we've gotten 15 leads from these remarketing ads. And I think we're also branching a little bit outside of remarketing. Don't get too excited about this number because most of these are not good leads, right? Like a lot of times it's like, oh, they want to download that ebook or they want to do whatever. Like I have not set in the last 30 days, none of these have actually turned into an appointment. But I know I need to stay in front of the people that searched me and have been landed on my website. And some of these, I'm going to keep them on my marketing, and eventually they will turn into an appointment. But Facebook's definitely not a silver bullet. Remarketing is definitely not a silver bullet, but it's something you need to be doing because it is effective, especially over time. All right, I know that was a lot. But again, all this is recording. We're going to break it out into a course. We're going to expand on it in the future course. So no worries. Just want to cover the foundations today and kind of give you a high level overview of a lot of these concepts. Moving on. If you want to set up remarketing, retargeting, we created another guide. Like we really try and create as many good guides as we can, and this will show you exactly how to do it for each, and it links to the necessary resources on Google, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Okay, we're going to get a little bit into a workshop here on Google Analytics Search Console. So I talked a little bit about SEO. I talked a little bit about website. It's so important to pay attention to your website and making it as awesome as possible and getting as many people to it as possible. I've said that, but I'm going to go over some tools that, again, you don't have to be a marketing expert. Your marketing coordinator doesn't have to be a marketing expert, but you have to understand how to use it. You have to understand what it means. So let's get in real quick. So the first one I wanted to cover was Search Console, and I actually wanted to use MSP Camp as an example. We can go into alt text, but it's a much more mature site. MSP Camp has only been live for what, like 6 months? Steven?
Yeah, 6 months about.
So we had zero SEO anything from this site. And it's like, okay, so a lot of people on this call are way more mature than us in our marketing, but some are not as mature in our marketing. They might just be getting their website going. So what are some low-hanging fruit stuff that you can do on your website as you get going? So this is Google Search Console. It's free. It's super easy to set up, and here's your dashboard, right? Nothing scary. So what I usually do, because again, I'm not an SEO like expert, right? So I'll get in here, I'll say, okay, we got 525 web search clicks since about January. Let me get in here a little bit more. Awesome. So we've got 14,000 times that we've even shown up on the web. And our average position is about 60, which means 60 the spot, which isn't that great. Cool. Let me dig a little deeper to see what I can improve on and what we're already ranking for, and I can expand on a little bit. Of course, for MSP Camp, we're number one. That's where we get most of our clicks. No Fluff MSP Marketing is the podcast. A lot of people are searching that and they're finding the website. MSP Marketing Ideas was one that I wrote a blog on. Why did I know to write a blog on that? Because we ranked like 100 and something, but I saw we were getting impressions for this keyword, MSP Marketing Ideas. That wasn't on my radar before. So I wrote a blog on MSP Marketing Ideas that I felt like was pretty good. And for a long time, it wasn't really doing much. But as of late, as you can see, it really jumped up a lot. So now when people are searching MSP Marketing Ideas, we're coming up a lot higher in the search term. And that happened because we identified this through Search Console as something we were already ranking for. So it's kind of low hanging fruit. We're just ranking really low for. So I wrote a really comprehensive blog on it. And now when people are searching MSP Marketing Ideas, we're going to show up higher and higher because I know it's great content. Like I really know it's going to help. If someone lands on that, it's going to help them. And that's the whole point of good content. Lots and lots of examples of that, but Search Console will show where you're currently performing on your website and how to get in there and start writing content to improve it. Like MSP telemarketing, we're ranking pretty well for, which is funny because we don't even really do telemarketing. MSP social media, we're writing another blog on that because we really want to improve that rank a lot because it's kind of all over the place right now. So it's just an example of how to get low-hanging fruit. Ideas to write for a service page for or a blog page for. All right, coming into the analytics. So this is Search Console. Search Console is for SEO. It shows what keywords your site is currently, ranking for, and you want to see these things improving over time, which you can find out by clicking into it and saying, okay, how am I doing? Like MSP marketing, super important keyword for me to rank for us to rank for, and I'm not doing that great. We're getting more impressions, but we're like 6th page of Google. No one's going to find me there. So we're going to keep working on that keyword to work it up. Lots of strategies to do that. I'm not going to get in the weeds today, but SEO is important. You might want to work with a specialist or really have your marketing coordinator jump in here and figure it out. All right, moving on. Analytics, super important that you know what your analytics are. It's super important that you see how many people, last 7 days we got 1,000 users. Okay, that's cool. What does that mean? Like, is any of that beneficial? Maybe, maybe not. We want to get into the pages here. We want to see what pages are people visiting. Oh, there's that blog I was talking about, Business Standard versus Business Premium. That's our #1 visited page right now. We only got people on there for about 46 seconds. It's a perfect example of when I'm going to put a pop-up or a download on that page to say, do you want to learn more about your Microsoft subscription or are you having challenges with that? Blah, blah, here's this download. Lakeland, managed IT service provider Lakeland. That is definitely something we want to rank for, right? Like that is what you want to rank for. Wirelessly connect your Windows 10 PC to smart TV. I don't care that I'm ranking for this. I don't really care that I'm ranking for this. We're ranking high for it, but not a lot of intent. People are just jumping on, getting the answer and jumping off. So again, don't want to get too much in the weeds. Just wanted to show y'all an example of some of these important analytics for your website. Okay. And if you have any questions on that, just let me know. I hope I didn't take up too much time there. Sorry, Steven.
You're good. I mean, it's important. If you want to jump off real quick, I can show my screen too when we get to the last part of this slide. But for social media, as we were talking about with that consistency of posting out, the recommended platforms that are kind of our bread and butter are Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And we use a different variety of content for each one, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But a big thing about doing social media sites like this is that you don't have to go individually to each site to post out. And instead of YouTube, I'm going to be showing Google My Business as well, because you can use that to post out. but using Publer, which is a scheduler that we really like, it was used before I even got here. It's a great way to kind of standardize that process of scheduling out posts. And I can just share real quick to show what I'm
Yeah, we'll
talking
just do
about.
it quickly so they can kind of see um, how that works.
Yeah. But it's a super clean interface, and I can just run through. So you'll see all the accounts that you've listed on the side here. So we have a few accounts from our peer group, All Tech, MSP Camp, and it's broken down by which group it is. So we have the Facebook accounts are all here, the Google My Business, LinkedIn, and those are the ones we have. And we also, a big thing I just want to note real quick too is that when you're posting out on LinkedIn, you need to be posting out on individual user pages too. It actually ranks a lot better, as Taher has found too. We use his LinkedIn for All Tech, and we get great traction from that, which leads back directly to All Tech. So that's always a good thing to keep in mind too. But how it'll work is, so if you're posting out a post and you're saying here test message, you select which posts or which accounts you want to post out on. So all tech, we want to have this on Google My Business, LinkedIn, and Facebook. You'll select those three. It'll show you how it's formatted in each one. And then from there, you can drag or drop media, add in any links you need to add there, and then hit schedule. And when you schedule, you'll be able to see in the calendar view exactly everything that's there. So these are some of the ones that have been scheduled out for us in the past, and it's broken down by each social account and shows what content was put out there. And we can have videos, any sort of thing that's formatted, different formats of sizes. So there's no restrictions on what you can post here. And it really does help you just standardize that process and make social media so much easier. But another great feature that I just want to touch on before jumping back into the presentation is that if you have a post that maybe you want to reuse in the future, we go by a 90-day rule where after 90 days, you can really reuse some of that content in the past and schedule it out again. You just hit this reuse button right here, and then it'll take you back to that creation page where you'll be able to schedule it all out and then select the date. So it really is a great tool. It's super clean. So that's all I wanted to add on that. Our team has used it for a while and we love it. So it's not required to use Publer, but it's certainly, I believe, required to use some sort of scheduler
Yeah.
to really help your marketing.
Doesn't matter which one you're using as long as it's easy and it keeps your progress on it. So totally agree, Steven. Thanks for showing that. All right, moving on. I'm gonna share my screen and we can keep on keeping on. Yeah,
And we have a guide again.
we got
We
on
love
it.
to show the guides.
Good. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of quickly skip through this, but this is a great example of a ad from a business on social media. 300,000 people are jammed on I-95. It's bleak. It's showing the user this terrible situation. While 137 people are diving with sharks, full color. It's a male, younger, because they're targeting a male around my age, which is why I got this ad. So what you doing right now? They're talking like the kids. Now they show a female in the same age bracket. Great example of targeting with a message that sticks and then a call to action. Swipe up to start your weekend adventure. It's just a great example of a company using ads on Instagram that I thought was really powerful.
Okay, yeah, and then jumping in, so we just also want to spotlight a few content types that have worked great for us and for MSP Camp. And the first one, which is essential, is social proof is just vital to a site. So you may have seen on the Data Magic site when I'm showing off the pop-up, all the testimonials there with videos and quotes from those. Social proof like that, where you're showing real people review your business and really just they can tell you, because if you're telling somebody, hey, we're the best at blah blah blah, we're the best at this, it doesn't mean as much because it really does just come off as marketing speak. And of course you're going to say that about your business, but when somebody else's business is telling their story through a case study video or through a survey response that you can later post out on social media, it really does show exactly what the experience of working with your MSP is like. So you always want to show what other people are saying about your business in a positive light, because it's a huge decision maker when a user is looking to actually find an MSP. Otherwise, lots of video. We love video content, both and we're starting to do shorter form animation videos. Longer form motion graphic videos have been a staple of what we've been building out. And of course, the live action humor videos, which at least Taher and I find really funny. But those sort of things where it's video definitely stands out compared to static images. You definitely want to have a mix, but video is just excellent for standing out, especially on social media. Otherwise, educational webinars. I don't want to cover too much of this right now because we'll talk
Yeah.
about it
Yep.
later on in the presentation. So I'll actually just leave that since we're have so much to cover. But otherwise, you always want to be posting out interesting articles and news, spotlights of employees. Employee spotlights are something we use in our All Tech newsletter each month, and it's just a great way for somebody to connect with the techs that they're basically talking to on a day-to-day basis and show people that may not be partnered with their MSP what the experience is like. It definitely ties back into that social proof area. And then overall, just with all these content types, if your company has personality, you need to be showing it. And that can come through for us, like the humor videos, things like that, showing our team. We're very unapologetic about showing personality for especially MSP Camp too, with our cartoon avatars, things like that. So if you have a personality or a culture that you can broadcast out to people who are landing your website or just coming in contact with your MSP, you should definitely be doing that. And then before we move on to the next two slides, this is something that Taher said a lot, and I've heard a lot, and I agree with it completely. Is that content is king. So you want to make sure your content is the strongest it can be, really stand out against other generic stock content that you see all the time. But distribution is queen too. Without distributing that content in the right ways, without being consistent on social media, without updating your website, the content is basically just sitting there, and you want to be maximizing that content by distributing it the right ways, which for marketing is just an all around approach. You need to be basically doing everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. Thanks, Steven. Good job.
And then on the next two slides, we just showed some examples of some of the MSP Camp content that we really like to stand out. So top left, one of our favorites is the ram eating monster, and we've recently made a live action video with this with a huge CGI monster that Taher commissioned on, I believe, Fiverr, or was it Upwork or Fiverr?
See Fiverr on that one,
It
which
was
I
on
never
Fiverr.
normally use. But
Yeah, but it's just something that you wouldn't see frequently, and like it's tied in with the idea of basically how Google Chrome is just slowing down people's hardware, and it can be referred to as the ramming monster. So taking an idea and thinking about how to depict it in a way that other sites wouldn't. I mean, this could just as easily been a logo of Google Chrome with like an X over it, and be and then have the same caption of like, "Oh, Google Chrome is slowing down your hardware." But really taking that extra step to be conscious about your content and what you're putting out is going to make all the difference.
that's
And
a
then
great
otherwise,
point. It's like take the concept that you want to create, whatever it is, and then go deeper. Like,
and
how
don't
do
be
I
afraid to make
make
it a little bit
this?
ridiculous sometimes too. Like,
Yeah. And like this is such an example. Like people I've just seen with our prospects, they react so well to training. So now Steven has this whole series coming out where it's like, the Microsoft products and a really simple infographic. That's great for social media. Like I'm really glad we did this. We did like I think on like all of the products. And it's not incredible content. It's not gonna be anything crazy, but it just sticks to the brand of like, hey, we're teaching. And this is a simple way of understanding that you didn't even know what Microsoft Delve was, but here's some key features you might want to look at.
yep, and mixing in that kind of content, that informational content with things like the live action videos, motion graphics, it all comes together really well. And then here are just some examples of ebooks, infographics that we use for MSP Camp that we think stand out just by not sticking into that same generic mold that a lot of content does. So, yeah,
So,
I mean, if
so
you have
yeah,
anything to
like
say, Tyler.
well, like when you're thinking about content, when you're thinking about creating content, it's like, what are the things? And what's funny is I always thought this way before I read They Ask You Answer. And it's so cool. Like when I was reading that, I was like, this is exactly my approach. It's like, what challenges when you're talking to a prospect or you're talking to even a client, what are the things that they ask and what are the things that they're interested in? How do we turn that into a piece of content? And so like that's where our content comes from, like Microsoft 365. Every time I start talking about, like, oh, do you use Planner? They're like, no, what's that? I'd love to. Or like, whatever. Like that's where we got this ebook. 'Cause it's like, hey, we want to show the other things outside of the Office products and email. And it's been super well received. All right, moving on. Just wanted to cover direct mail real quick. The primary reason I'm getting more into direct mail is I've talked to Nigel Moore a couple times. We've had a couple calls because we're trying to get or actually currently in progress of working on a good relationship with Tech Tribe. And he's just a huge advocate of direct mail. I'm going to try and get him on the podcast to talk direct mail because I feel like we've done okay with it over the years, but like he is a huge advocate. So we're starting to move more into direct mail. This is an example of one that we've created. Obviously, MSP Camp members can use, but I'm just trying to show as an example, like I got something from ZipRecruiter where there's a physical gift card. I just love that because there's like a tangible value in getting like a physical gift card, and it just fell. Like having a physical thing with a physical gift card. I just thought it was such a cool idea. So this is how we tailored it. In addition, we do a lot of postcards. They're relatively inexpensive, but we try and do something a little different with them. Like in this case, one thing I hear from prospects is like, I'm tired of working on MSP that's a couple hours away. I want someone close. So we sent this postcard out to literally businesses within 5 miles of our office, and we put a Google Maps thing here and showed where our business is and say, hey, we're right here. Like, do you want to talk to? We're right down the road. So just again, I didn't create this content because I thought it'd be cool. We created it because it's something I hear, prospects having a challenge with, which is MSP being too far away. All right, moving on. I hope everyone's doing okay. I hope we're doing okay. I hope we're not boring you. I hope this is good information. So let's we're past the halfway point. If all this is overwhelming you, it means you're paying attention. It means you're paying attention. So that's why I recommend getting a marketing intern, marketing coordinator, even part-time. Like it seems like a lot, but you'll see it's, once you get the ball rolling, it's really not more than 20 hours a week, maybe 30 hours a week, to really get an awesome marketing engine going. So I'm huge on interns, for example. And again, we have a guide on how to get an intern. But for example, I really wanted to host the Smashthon. I thought it'd be a cool event, but I was doing a lot of stuff. I was just too busy. So enter Steven. I got Steven, and I was like, Steven, I need your help. He was unpaid intern for 90 days, and he helped me throw the Smashathon. Like I didn't have to be that involved except ideas, and it was huge. It was like 160 people. We're doing another one actually April 20th next month. All of that was powered by Steven. So it's just an example of like the power of someone that knows nothing about marketing yet, except school. So not nothing. Sorry,
Hey,
Steven.
whoa,
But little about marketing,
calm
and
down.
and this is actually his first job, and he killed it. So like, don't think like, oh, if I get a marketing intern, I'm gonna have to like hold their hand, or I don't know what, they're not gonna know what to do. It's like just throw them at the MSP camp guides, and they'll be good to go. Throw them at the podcast, give them that checklist, and they're gonna be fine. Or getting a coordinator.
Yeah, the items we're making for MSP Camp, I mean, are things that Taher and I kind of wish we had when we started out doing marketing things, and has come directly from what we have done. And I guess my only other note for that with the intern part is so I joined on because a lot of schools are going to require some kind of internship credit before graduation for the major, and that's what got me in the door for this. So there's always somebody to help out with it, and we'll be building out a guide on this, which I think we're showing on the next slide as well, because we love to show the guides.
Guide.
Yeah. So, yep, that's already out. So you can find it on the guides page on MSP Camp.
Yep. And I saw James' question. I think the job description's on here. If not, I'll get it added to the guide for sure, and I'll get it sent to you. All right, Steven, managing marketing vendors.
Yeah. So this is a huge one, and this is something I wasn't really familiar with before coming into Alltech and now MSP Camp. But basically, utilizing and delegating different tasks to marketing vendors is huge in really taking your marketing to the next level and being able to do everything that you need to be doing to stand out without becoming overwhelmed with each individual process. So the two big ones that I want to spotlight here are Upwork and Writers Access. Upwork has been great for us for working with motion graphic videos and going through and getting different things commissioned. And as Taher said, he used Fiverr before for the live action ram-eating monster. And for Writers Access, we've used this in the past with long-term or long form blog writing, which we've been able to take and adapt to each site or whatever we're using. But the big thing is just that you can't do everything in-house, but you need to manage it all in-house. That's the big thing, where you use these marketing vendors to basically help supplement everything that you're doing internally, and you're still providing that same level of quality control to the content you're getting back, and making sure your team is aware of it. And that's been huge for us.
Yeah.
But the other thing I just want to spotlight before I send over you, Taher, is that when you're managing different marketing vendors, what we found and what I found specifically is that when you're requesting something, obviously you have the perfect idea in your head of what you want created, but you need to be providing clear instructions every step on the way on what's being created, or it's not going to live up to your expectations of what it is. Because, I mean, people can't read your mind. That happened to me before, and I was like, oh, these this blog didn't come back the way I wanted it to. This commission motion graphic isn't looking the same. And then I really realized, like, hey, you need to be basically just directing exactly what your vision is, whether that be drawing it out on a piece of paper or really explaining specific timestamps in a motion graphic video to change. Being able to work with that with the right specialist for each step of the way is essential. And when you do find that right fit for motion graphic videos or for blogs, that person's going to become essential to helping you out with your marketing. So
Here's an example. Well, one, Steven actually draws the infographics. It's so funny. Like
I
he's
have so
got,
many
I
ridiculous
told him to
drawings, like
save
stick
it because I was like,
figures.
this
Yeah,
is going to be like the
I've
MSP
got a
camp,
stack.
like original stack. And then like when we were moving to Facebook ads, yes, we could have done it ourselves, right? But I went on Upwork. I found a guy at $100 an hour, right? Because he's one of the top rated Facebook ad guys. I'm willing to pay him $100 an hour because I only need him a couple hours a month. I just need him to help me set it up. And I need him to check in on it every now and then. So instead of going with these big retainers, finding a specialist, a freelancer that's really great at their job to help you with the marketing pieces that you're working on. But again, all management should really be in-house. Hey, I won't spend too much time on this. Center of influence is super important. A friend of mine has a HIPAA consultant that he's built a great relationship with. He gets a ton of leads from that one consultant. So finding companies that also sell to your ideal prospect is super important. HIPAA consultants, IT auditors, internet providers, copier providers that don't also do MSP, and agents that are selling to businesses. And this is something channel companies do really well. I haven't done it well at MSP Camp because I'm just not good at the hobnobbing of channel companies. Like I don't be like, hey, can you guys pitch MSP Camp? Like I don't know. I should be doing that. I really should, but it's I don't. But anyway, it's super important to find center of influences. Network events, again, this is not something I need to spend a lot of time on. This is just something you need to be doing and something I knew I needed to be doing. And we've gotten lots of closed clients from networking events. Rotary, BNI, mixed reviews about BNI, Chamber of Commerce, client events. Go to all the client events you can go to, every one of them, because they're friends with business people, and LinkedIn local. So more networking events. I know they're not fun, but they do pay off for sure. The last 7 years that we've been doing network events, it's added a lot of MRR. We don't really have to spend too much time on this. I did want to give a shout out to 403 Tech, who I think's on this call. Scott might be on this call. I'm
Is
not
on the
sure.
list, yeah.
All right, cool. I saw he was doing a webinar with a group of his MSP peers. I thought that was super cool. You don't have to do it all yourself. You can get a couple MSPs that you know. It also increases the attendance rate, which makes you guys look a lot more successful at doing webinars, which is great. So I just want to give him a shout out. Good job, Scott. Keep at it. All right, Steven, do you want me to just cover this whole one real quick or?
Yeah, if you want to
Okay.
knock it out, because I know we've talked about it a
So
little bit
yeah,
earlier.
so basically how we do webinars is we'll do a lot of times it's around office products like Microsoft Teams or Outlook. We're doing one on AI within Microsoft because that's a hot topic right now. So just be on the lookout for what are these hot topics. And then again, we're jumping on Upwork. I'm not trying to create that presentation myself, and I'm not trying to give the presentation myself. I want to do the marketing to get people into the door, and then I hire a specialist for a couple $100 to do the presentation who's got a track record of doing good presentations. When you send the invite out to your clients and community, say, hey, please send this to other people that might be interested. So monthly webinars have definitely been successful. We have a direct ROI on monthly webinars. It's not massive, but again, it's providing value to clients and it's bringing more referrals and it's also adding net new. So monthly webinars are important.
Yeah, and I can jump in here just for a little bit more emphasis on video. I know we talked about this before, how it's just essential, but it's just been such a main differentiator for us, for now MSP Camp and All Tech as well, and our peer group, that it's something that we just kind of have to spotlight. But I mean, we make sure to do, like with all other content, have a wide range of things. So tech tip videos that are going to be more informational on things that somebody might not necessarily understand before, with their computer. Live action videos with an emphasis on humor, which stands out great on Facebook. I'm getting ahead of myself too because we talk about the specific forms of content for each advertising site later on. But service page videos, which are going to be coming soon to MSP Camp, which we'll be building out, that are essentially just going to be sort of a merger between just like a tech tip video, but for a specific service that we're going to have at the top of each service page that can be utilized to just give that extra level of polish to a page where somebody might need a little bit more explanation. And especially for like a cybersecurity page or something like that, a good amount of time there's never going to be a video at the very top that's been custom made for the MSP with that service page. So this is a big differentiator that we're looking forward to creating. Otherwise, any event announcements or company updates, we've done this personally for Alltech with the Smashathon 2023. We just shot our announcement video for that. And any company updates about a certification, maybe a tech got, or an update to an office, maybe a tour, those sort of things stands out a lot and really do build that personality of your business as well. Otherwise, client testimonials too. So we do these with case study videos, as the one I showed earlier with Data Magic's website. But this is just another form of social proof and in video form. So it really is that perfect merger of two great converting items. But definitely just get comfortable creating and posting video. We really got into it right when I got into Alltech. It was instilled like we're going to be shooting video, we're going to be acting in these videos, and that's just the culture of it. And it's created so much great content that I couldn't imagine not doing for marketing.
Yep. All right, everyone. I know we're kind of coming up on 3. I do apologize. We're just going to keep rolling. Don't worry if you have to jump out. We will have the recording of this whole thing, but hopefully you can stay and keep listening as much as possible because we're coming up on the end. So.
Yep.
A couple people dropped off. Maybe I shouldn't have said anything.
They didn't get to see this awesome guide. Yeah.
Yeah. So another guide, video marketing for MSP. We put as much as we can into this one. So go check that out.
All right, yeah. So just quickly on advertising, so you want to be remarketing on every major platform, as we said, but with the variety of content that we talked about earlier, where you want to be posting out different things on social media, different things on each advertising site, this is how we break it down specifically. So Facebook advertising, we always have an emphasis on humor and eye-catching motion graphics, things that are going to stand out on that site. Then on YouTube, which is inexpensive and keeps us top of mind, we also use that sort of humor approach, or maybe a video on specific items that we've used on Facebook too. But LinkedIn is where you're going to differentiate your approach and really use white paper, ebook downloads, specific service spotlights, and motion graphic videos that are more professional in nature than a live action video. Because we do understand that not everybody is going to be using the humor live action video for their approach. Depending on the culture of whatever your MSP is. But using this for each individual platform really does diversify your advertising as well, because when somebody sees your humor video on Facebook or they see your just white paper on LinkedIn, it's all different. Like you're not seeing the same content over and over on each site, and it really does make you seem larger than your MSP is. And it's just a fantastic tool for really standing out. But otherwise, Taher, if you want to talk a little bit about Google Pay-per-click, which is a new thing that we're working on.
Yeah, so we're really experimenting a lot in advertising. We never really did a lot of advertising in the past. We grew a lot just through organic marketing, very, very little advertising budget, very, very little telemarketing budget. But now, as we get to a certain maturity, we're really pushing into advertising. So whatever we find is successful, don't worry, we're going to report back. And so we're currently allocating $3,500 for pay-per-click. We work with a company called Smart Sites. So if this works for us, don't worry, we're going to let you know.
Yeah, we'll be talking about it.
We're going to show you how we're doing it. So. MDF, so few MSPs take advantage of MDF, but it's super important. I mean, it's super important. MDF's market development funds. Your vendors that you pay a lot of money, they will give you money for your marketing. So if you're going to hold an event, you're going to hold a webinar, you want funds for that telemarketing campaign, you want funds to pay for MSP camp for 3 years, whatever it is, you'll be able to create a case and they're likely going to pay for it. We get a ton of MDF every year from, like SonicWall as an example, AppRiver as an example. If you use Datto as an example, there's tons of companies that have strong MDF programs. And don't worry, we have a guide on it.
There's a guide.
So there's a guide on it, and I promise
we can't stop making them.
Yeah, these guides are very actionable. They're not fluff, I promise. Like every word in there is something that we needed to tell you to make sure you can most effectively get MDF. Guides are free. I mean, most people on this call are MSP Camp members,
Yep.
but even
sometimes
if you're not,
we'll follow the guides just for reminders and some things too.
Yeah, Maddie said that's how she got trained. I was like, perfect, because I know I didn't do anything. All right, we're coming up on the last few slides. Thank you, everybody. Wow, for really hanging in with us. We appreciate it. So let's keep going. Public relations. We have a whole podcast episode on this. It's important that if you're doing something cool like the Smashathon or something unique, pitch it to the local newspapers, the local magazines, the local social media sites. That's how you can really expand reach. Is if one of these bigger local social profiles share what you're doing. This is us in the newspaper. Actually, wasn't recently now, but so just public relations is important. I'm not going to stay on this slide for too long. I just want you to kind of see it. This is an example of tactics within each kind of section of a journey. So if this person's a stranger to us, these are most of the tactics we're using to try and get them in the door. We're going to show a little bit more of a system here in a minute, but that's most of the tactics we use from taking from stranger to lead. So it's not that complicated. It's just getting them to fit together. Once they're a lead, this is kind of how we get them from lead to new client. These are some of the key pieces we use. And then when they're a new client, how do we wow them? And then once they're a client, how do we continue to market to them and continue to build that engagement? Because there's marketing in each step. So marketing isn't just getting them in the door. It never has been for me. It's always been kind of full circle. All right. So again, not a whole lot of value on the slide. I just want to kind of wanted to lay it out and kind of the key pieces we do in each section. Okay. Putting it all together. We're in the home stretch. We're not too far off time, so that's good. Putting it all together. We just talked about a lot of stuff. Like what are we doing? What are we doing next? How do we tie it all together? One, become obsessed. Become obsessed with growth. Like I'm serious. Like I became obsessed with growth when I first started. It was like what I cared about more than anything. When that happens, then you start like marketing just starts to click. You're willing to put in those extra hours to think, okay, how can I do that event, or how can I improve the SEO, or how can I get more views or whatever, because you're obsessed with growth. Utilize the MSP campaigns to keep the ball rolling on your marketing. The MSP campaigns, they are the content and they're the campaigns we use. But content campaigns are just a piece of your marketing. That's why we talk about all this other stuff, right? It's not like there's no campaign in the world that's like, oh, I'm just going to do this and there's all my leads. I mean, it's going to help you get leads, but you really want to do the other things too. And that's why this is such a large presentation, and this really is the foundation. But the MSP campaigns are the best content I've seen when it comes to these kind of like ready-made campaigns. And so using that to help you initiate these campaigns and initiate your content and keep your marketing going, it's going to be super important. Be on the lookout for the free marketing coordinator checklist. We're going to be publishing in the next 7 days. It's the most comprehensive checklist I've ever put together. That we've ever put together. It's going to end up being 5 or 6 pages. It seems like a lot, but it's like, what should a coordinator be doing like every step of the way? So it's taken me a little bit longer than I expected because I'm kind of a perfectionist, but in the next 7 days we'll have it published, and that's going to be as actionable as possible to make sure the system is running all the time. Another thing is, please
full circle. Yep.
Please leave us a review. If you like MSP Camp and you're a member and like you're like, oh, this doesn't suck, like I'm glad I'm doing this. If you could leave us a review on Google, that'd be awesome. I don't really care too much about Google, as we're not a local company, but Google will be fine. Tech Tribe, if you're a Tech Tribe member and you can leave us a review on their marketing vault, that'd be amazing. Or leave us a review on Spotify. I can't tell you guys how much that helps us. So that would be super duper helpful. Anyone raise their hand if they've already left us a review on Spotify or anywhere else? Can I get a raise hand? I think a couple of people on here have. All right, thanks, John, and a couple more. All right, sweet, thank you, appreciate it. All right, moving on. So we're working on more frameworks, but this is an example. And again, I'm not going to spend too much on it because you're going to get this, and we'll actually send this out too, just as a graphic. But really try and identify like, how did somebody go from a prospect to you got their contact information? This is kind of how we do it, right? Like we have the prospect that we want to target. We're going to add them on LinkedIn, so they're getting our organic social media, right? We're gonna make sure they're on our contact list on those advertising campaigns. We're gonna try and get them to the website. We're gonna send them that monthly direct mail piece. We're gonna add them to that email marketing. And then like, where does it go from there? The website tracking for remarketing, further engagement score. We're gonna get them a direct mail. We're gonna LinkedIn message them, etc., until they're kind of converted. So this is a simpler version of the larger thing we're working on, but I just want to kind of go over that today to kind of show a more systematic approach to how we do things. And of course, we do
The last
have,
one, we promise.
yeah, last
In
guide
his
I promise
presentation.
is the new campaign implementation guide. So this is going to show your coordinator or you, like these are the steps we recommend on social media. This is what the pain points document is. This is how you use your direct mail piece. This is how you use social media content. This is what you should do with the infographics. This is how you use the ebook. Like we really try and say, like, this is how you should use the campaigns to kind of get the most out of them. Right. Last two slides. I'm amazed that everyone's still here. Thank you so much, everybody. A man who stops advertising to save money is like a man who stops a clock to save time. Henry Ford. I just love this. You know, it's like, especially if we move into a recession in the next year or two or whatever, like, don't stop marketing. You know, stopping marketing isn't going to save money. It's going to hurt you long term. You really want to invest more into marketing and invest more into sales. Again, become obsessed. And you know, something Tom at Alltech always said is, or always says is, scared money don't make no money. So, all right, last thing for the questions. We went to Bangkok. There's a bunch of street vendors. Me and my wife, we stopped at a bunch of them. There was one with a huge line out of all the 20. So we went there. I ate their food. It was exactly the same, but I realized the line was there because she was wearing a cowboy hat. And where she was at, that was different. So finding a differentiator for your MSP is super important, and it doesn't even have to be something about your quality of service, your line of service, whatever. It might just be the company that holds that big ass Smashathon event every year. It might be that company that has those cool, wacky cars that drive around all the time. Doesn't even have to be anything about your service. So just be thinking about that as you think about a differentiator. Okay. Wow. I know that was a lot. Questions? All right.
Yeah, I know
I'm
we have
sure
some in
there's
the chat from
questions.
earlier on too. I mean, just thank you everybody for attending in the first place. I mean, it's a ton of content to cover, but we're happy to be providing the information, and everything from here is going to be cut up into separate snippets. We'll be sending over the full recording to everybody who registered for the webinar as well. And then otherwise just making sure that our courses are kept with the same quality that dives into it. But we couldn't be more appreciative. It's been insane to watch this thing grow. So yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. So it looks like there's a lot of questions, um, which is great. And yeah, thank you again, Steven. Thanks for saying that. I totally agree. We're gonna get better at these webinars, I promise. With keeping them a little tighter. All right, so let's get in here. Will we get a copy of the recording of the video? Yes, you will. We'll post it on MSP Camp and send it out. Oh, Steven already answered that. Cool. Jamie said, I'm curious if it's necessary to pay for up-city listings or if you feel the free listing is enough. It's a good question, because when we originally set it up and got reviews, we were getting some leads from it. Like we got a pretty good lead from it. Um, Less so now. So, you know, it might be getting more competitive. I know someone in our peer group did pay for it. It was like $100 or something for a preferred listing. He hasn't seen much from it. So I don't know if paying for it is a good place to start. I think just continue to get reviews, because he paid for it and we haven't seen any difference from everyone else. Upcity and Clutch are not massive drivers of leads. They're just another place that you want to be and get a backlink from a high domain website. Scott says, I'm curious about Clutch. We have the max amount of reviews. Nice. Good job, Scott. And we need to pay to post more.
I feel like that ties up in the last one too, where
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. I mean, it depends on, I guess, your budget and if you want to give it a shot. I do know that Upcity and Clutch, you know, if you type in your city, like best, you know, IT service and city, if it's showing up first, second spot, might be worth paying for. Because these listing services, people do, unfortunately, you know, unfortunately do, yeah, they do search there. Sorry, I had a brain fart because I was reading the next question. So to answer your question, it depends on your budget. If they're ranking pretty high in y'all cities, might be worth the investment. We thought Taher owned the company. He's all over the site. That's great. I know everyone says that. Like over half the clients at Alltech think I own the company. It's really funny. Tom's more like behind the scenes guy. I can't even get him on the podcast. Like I keep trying to
We've
get
been
him on the
wanting to for a while.
podcast.
That was one of our
Yeah.
first ideas for the podcast, and
You keep bailing on
he's
me. I'm like,
elusive.
dude, come on. All right, Jamie said the amount of spam we see on the HubSpot live chats is staggering. Oh, that's not good. Oh, from the live chat you set up? Yeah, unfortunately. But that's actually, Jamie, that's actually kind of a good sign too, because it means that you're ranking pretty well. Like when you start getting these, when you start getting like spam, more spam, um, it means that your site's being found easier. Because it's like as our SEO improved and as we became more prevalent on the web, way more spam, right?
All
And
the
there's ways
vendors
to
and things
limit
running
that, all
in.
the
Yep.
sales calls, vendors and stuff, but that means it's easier for your prospects to find you too. So kind of a love-hate thing with the spam. This is about to change though with the redo of Google Chrome and cookies. Trevor, if you're talking about remarketing, yeah, I mean remarketing it's was heavily impacted with the iPhone thing, and it's going to change with cookies. Marketing is always changing, so we'll continue to provide the best resource possible. But we still love remarketing. People say they use it all the time, or see it, like clients and prospects say they see it all the time and they like it and they laugh at it and stuff. So I'm just going to keep doing it. I enjoy it. It's helped us get some leads, and help us to make it easier for them to close. Daniel Buchanan, Daniel, it's good to see you here. I know we spoke a while back. Thanks for jumping on. He said, Bubbler's cool. Do you think it beats out Buffer and features functionality? I'm actually not sure. I've heard good things about Buffer. The big thing is
As
just,
long as you're using a scheduler, yeah.
yeah, yep,
All of our experiences with Publer, but if Buffer is a good fit, then by all means, just some sort of scheduler makes it so much more effective.
yep, yep. Awesome. Yeah, I agree. Bunch of love for Nigel here. I love Nigel, and I've been on a lot of calls with Nigel now as we're kind of refining the partnership, and he is even cooler than I originally thought. Like such a stand-up dude. So if you're not a Tech Tribe member, I hate to pitch another service. I should probably be pitching ours, but I just love Tech Tribe. So definitely look at Tech Tribe. James, I'll get you a job description for the marketing coordinator position. All right. Tim, appreciate the shout out. Is Tim you still on the call? By the way, anyone can unmute themselves and do the camera too. I think I changed the settings. So James, there's James. Hey James.
What's going on, buddy? How are you?
Good to see you.
Yeah, you too. Now I'm curious, how many Canadian MSPs do you guys have? Anybody near me? Hopefully not.
I think like 4 right
Okay.
now.
I know there's Sean.
Yeah.
He's kind of like our partner company in
Yep.
Ottawa.
Clever dog. Yep.
Very cool.
Yep. And then Scott is Canadian. Scott Galupe. And Tim Ritchie. They're in not Toronto. I think it's the other side. But
Oh, there's Zoe as well,
Calgary.
right? Zoe
Yeah.
Tildes. We're meant to have a chat with her.
Nice. Yeah. Everyone, if you're not on the Facebook group, please be on the Facebook group. All right, we got some more questions here. Is there a link to Google Chrome Monster that you guys referred to? Patricio, if you remember, it's on the hardware campaign. And if you're asking about the live action one, that's for leader members and the humor videos. Okay. Darren said, ask a hardware vendor to sponsor the Smashathon, and that's genius. Do you guys have a guide to the guides? Sean, that's pretty funny. We'll make sure to make our next.
For sure.
Okay, cool. I think we're done with the questions. John asked client advisory committee and how do you use it at Alltech? It's an idea I've had and I've wanted to do it. Unfortunately, a lot of it comes down to, hey, we're doing this event. What do you guys think? So we don't have it more official like we'd like to. A guide to doing webinars, Darren, we do have a guide to doing
Yep.
webinars.
It's already up on the guide page.
Okay, and Tim's saying it is expensive to get more space reviews. May not be worth it then.
Yeah, that was just with your Scott's
Hi,
question
Jamie.
earlier.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Hi.
Gotcha.
Sean, can you turn off your camera, please?
I wanted to pop by and say, hey, you guys are doing an awesome thing. The MSP
Thank
camp has
you.
been
Thank you.
amazing. Thank you so
Totally
much for
agree.
putting out there. Thank you so
Totally
much
agree.
for making it affordable. That is the big thing. There are so many people make so much content, but it's so far out of our reach. It's like getting an owner to, say, hey, is so tough. And the podcast is what kind of converted us into advocates. So you got
Nice.
us for life, my friends. But my question to you
Yes.
is, we have a segmented funnel. Okay, our company is in San Francisco, so SEO was a huge thing that we had to do. It's just outside of San Francisco, but so we had to get SEO kind of, that's part of like business as usual. That's like we have to do as a standard there. And then we had the sales side of thing. We had this gap in between where like email marketing, social and all that kind of wasn't quite developed. So I'm kind of building everything together. So my question to you is in that situation, based on what you know now, what tips might you give somebody in our situation? We have a solid company, 20 years of time. We have great SEO, but it's getting that in between, getting that new reach.
Yeah. It's tough, like, especially as of late, like building a social media presence is becoming harder for sure. And that's why we keep going more and more out there content, more and more kind of, I don't want to say crazy, but you really got to try and get someone's attention, especially when it comes to company social media posts. Pretty low hanging fruit though is get the business owner to invite all of their friends on Facebook if they have a Facebook. If not, some of the senior techs, people, you don't want to have anybody invited to like your page because you do kind of want it to have like the owner circle because they know other owners. That was super important for us. So that's pretty low hanging fruit to start getting some more likes and engagement. Hashtags, I know you're familiar with hashtags, Jamie. Those do, tend to help sometimes. Advertising, like a low level advertising to start getting more eyes on your Facebook page could help. So when it comes to Facebook, it's sometimes a slow grind, and sometimes it takes something going quasi viral to really get more people in. Like our YouTube, we went from like 12 subscribers to like 350 because of like one video on our YouTube, right? Like,
Okay.
so sometimes it does take something like really out there to kind of get people into your ecosystem, or it's going to a lot of networking events where people meet you and they like you and so they follow you on social media or they follow your page on social media. There's a lot of different strategies trying to get people there, but it sometimes is a slow grind on the social media side of things. On the email side of things, we've always done kind of, unfortunately, like cold emailing.
We've been doing
We've
cold calling and asking for permission, so that's
Perfect.
big
I
thing. So
prefer that over cold emailing. We've kind of been moving away from cold emailing, especially as of late, just because we've been seeing less value in it. And we're trying to find more ways like the Facebook advertising, like getting people to register for these webinars and events, like downloads on the websites where we're doing more exciting ebooks that we're starting to get few more downloads on the website, building the email list that way, and then making sure you've got good content emails, which MSP camp emails I feel like are pretty strong, but you might want to tailor it more to you as well. So yeah, it's one of those things that it's tough. Like people are not super excited to download anything about IT. That's why it's a challenge to be like, we have to make it exciting. Like we have to find content that they care about. And that exercise has been working as of late. But the fact that you have a strong SEO is super good, because you might have people going to your specific service pages. Cool. You're great at video. I love your tech tip bits. So you could say, hey, thanks for stopping by. You have questions on Microsoft 365? Here's a guide that will show you, all the things that come with your Microsoft 365. So instead of just having a download, you can literally have a video referencing the download right at the top. Things that are getting them more engaged than a static page, even if it does have good SEO. So kind of thinking outside the box to really get clever with getting people in. Like this Smashathon event, we're probably gonna have 200 people register, and they're gonna be mostly business people. And that's a whole list of people. A lot of them are clients, but it's also clients inviting their friends and stuff that I'm going to be able to start emailing now. So
cool. Well, the one thing that I'm concerned about is the fact that I'm so far from the office. So a lot of the videos I do here locally. Do you see there being any issue with me doing the videos for the service pages, or do you swear by having the text doing them?
No, you could totally do them. I mean, yeah, like with MSP Camp, the next videos we're doing are service page videos because I think it's so powerful.
Thank
Where
you.
it's like, hey, yeah, no problem. Where it's Maddie or it's me or whoever wearing a generic shirt saying, hey, this is thanks, John, and thanks for stopping in, John. You know, for specific service pages, because having a video up top does seem to help with the rank and does seem to help with conversion.
You're way more engaging than any of our texts, by the way.
I think that's why they have me doing the videos on social.
Yeah, we should try and
Thank
get a
you,
tech
guys.
to do a marketing video. I'm gonna experiment with that. There'll be some good MSP.
That could be
content.
interesting.
Yeah.
Actually, one thing I wanted to let you know is I discovered that blue screen works better in a small environment than green screen does. So I found that I had less green haze. So if you guys are making video and you're in a small area where you're finding a lot of green fuzz around you, switch to chroma blue. Works like a charm for smaller
Nice.
space. So
Good to know.
Good trick.
I feel like there's a lot of haze around me most of my days.
You must be a dad, Sean.
No, well,
No.
not at home anyway.
Yeah, nice. Those are two
Okay.
good ones in a row. So, well, good to see you, Sean.
Yeah, good to see you. I will say that like I listen to the podcast every week, and the whole thing is very positive. I think when I originally spoke to you, like you get a little down sometimes when you feel like you're not doing everything perfect, and I love the way you guys present. Like it's completely fine. You're not doing everything perfect. You do what you can and take what you can away from it. So it's.
I totally agree with that. Honestly, guys, it's a fantastic thing. Sean and I
Yeah.
are so excited about this. Like I've been
Yeah.
doing this.
It's embarrassing.
Well, I've been doing this, 23 odd years now, and this is the first time in a while I've been very excited about something I'm going to implement. And like you said, grow, grow, grow. You get obsessed with growing. I kind of feel that way with your content,
Nice.
and I haven't felt that way with other people's content. We won't name names, but So anyway, thanks, guys.
Good. Nice. I really appreciate it, guys. Like,
Yeah, thank you.
yeah, it's awesome.
We're trying to plan a ski trip, but there's just no freaking hills in Florida. We
We
come and see you,
It's flat. Well,
I'll trade you. Come to Pittsburgh. We'll give you our hills and our snow. I'll come down there.
we've been thinking about doing an MSP camp like conference,
Great place
where
to do
we
it.
all get together and maybe we just go to Lake Tahoe or something. We'll go ski trip.
Actually go
I don't
camping.
I'm all over that.
know.
Yeah, agreed.
Nice. Perfect.
Agreed. Okay, let's go pretend to do some work, boys.
Yeah, I know the feeling. All right. Well, Ezra said, "Come to the Pacific Northwest where the weather pleases nobody." All right, cool. Snowball fight.
So funny.
Oh.
So your plan is to go through and kind of do these live things similar to the podcasts, like where you're identifying each different topic.
Yeah, we're actually it's been a huge initiative. We're gonna get it done by Q2. We're doing a much expanded version where it's gonna be a whole marketing coordinator course. Because I feel like we're doing a good job with creating content, but are we doing a best job of showing the system to grow the MSP? Not really, because it's all in the podcast where it's talked about. But how do we really lay it out in a way for anybody to kind of replicate? And that's been a challenge, but it's something we're gonna finish this quarter. So this was kind of the primer to that, to kind of get the ball rolling on it.
You realize it's not your entire job to make us all profitable, right? You know that?
Don't tell him that.
I want that to be though. Like me and Steven, I keep talking about what a great job. If our whole thing was just building content.
And this is the side gig of the real business, which kills me. I find it hilarious.
Yeah.
This is definitely the funner part. Now, Alltech's great. We love it here too. It's fun.
Alrighty. One thing you might want to do, which here nor there, and you don't have to is obviously you guys have a pretty successful stack of toys and tools that you use. You might want to talk about those at some point, and what works, what doesn't, why, this would save a lot of the MSP's trouble. I mean, again, Sean and I, you can tell by our hairstyles, we've been doing this a while, but the younger guys that haven't been doing this, like there's some that still don't even have a PSA, like, wow. I remember those days.
I think the background is covering up my head. That's what it is.
It's the sky. Steven, you want to talk about what we're doing there?
For which section?
The partner page?
Yeah, so we're just basically going to lay out all the partners that we've been working with in terms of like cloud provider who we work with, people from our peer group. But I mean, are you also talking about the tools in the sense of like
like we're gonna list
like that?
We're gonna list all the tools we use, like this. Here's the MDR, AV, like all the stuff, pros and cons. Like we use ConnectWise Manage right now, and like we like it, but if we were starting new, would we go with Manage? Nope.
What was that product? Sorry, what were you talking about?
ConnectWise Manage, like the whole ConnectWise ecosystem now. Like we've done it for a decade, but their account management's horrible. Like people talk bad about Kaseya. We love the product. I'll say that, but like their account management it's not good. And so we say, hey, this is what we use, and I'll list the cons. Like,
well, it's funny because Sean and we're both Autotask, became Datto, became now Kaseya, and we are not loving the Kaseya experience, and it's only been a couple of months, and it's like,
yeah.
I think there'd be some good discussion too amongst members there, and that's the nice thing. Nobody's stepping on anyone's area or toes, so I think that would be useful, to get some members chat on what they're using as well.
Yeah. Are you on the Facebook page, Sean?
I am.
Okay, cool, awesome, perfect. Yeah, so I'm gonna get that published probably like next week because we already have it. We've already kind of been talking to everybody. We were trying to get like just like how Tech Drive does it, where they have like they'll provide like not a spiff, what am I looking for? Like a bonus for members that sign up with them or whatever. But I'm just gonna get them listed and I can work with that later. Like we're not gonna take any money from any of them, but I'm saying for the members to be able to get like a discount if they sign up. So that's been kind of ongoing, but. All right, Milan's going to join. I'm taking that as you're joining, so appreciate it, Milan.
Confirmation.
Yeah.
Don't
think about it, Milan. Just do it.
Yeah, social proof. I hired James.
Hey, you know what? You got
paid actor.
You can do 1 month and see what you think, and trust me, you won't go back.
Yes. All right. It's working, Steven.
Even if we just steal all the infographics, it's probably worth it.
Yes. And we're doing like these new tech tips that we're about to be publishing. I'm like super excited about it. And we're doing these so we're looking at like what's the trendy social media stuff. Like I saw one recently where it was like it looks like a LinkedIn post. But then the Groot character starts dancing out of the post onto the post beneath it. So it looks like 3D. And I just loved that because it's like an illusion that it's like the LinkedIn page, but it's not. It's just a single post.
Wow.
So we're creating a lot of variations of that where like it looks like someone clicks on a link and all of a sudden it looks like poppings out are coming outside. Like so like we're starting to think more of like how do we take advantage of these like super popular trendy social media stuff and add it into IT and MSP. Like there was another one I saw, I was watching a video and it was like someone was sliding down a slide and they were about to ramp off. And then it said, oh, your battery's about to die. Or is that 10%? And I thought it was me. So I like went to cancel it and they got me. So we're doing variations of that where it's like, oh, your internet's out again.
Nice.
But
well,
anyway.
Real quick, the Mind Matrix, we were actually in there too. So
awesome.
They like to sneak the renewals. So check your state laws. There's a pretty decent chance that your state laws may actually forbid renewals without consent. So check into that. You may be able to cancel before you know it.
Was there anything like, how was Mind Matrix? Like, was there anything, was it easier to use, different?
I used to work for them.
Oh, okay. Oh, cool.
Honestly, for what it is, what it does, it's great for like somebody who's moving from break fix. and
Gotcha.
into an MSP model. It's really great for like the 1-2-man operation kind of converting into and growing into a bigger MSP. But once you get to a certain point where you're starting to build your own your own fingerprint, your own identity, that's when things start to fall away. And the reason why is because every person logs into msp.amp.vg. Okay, that's the login. And so, and that's where all the content is housed. Each company has logins to that server. And so when you're in things like TweetDeck, you can actually go to msp.amp.vg, search that, and find every person who uses MindMatrix for their social media, because it all links back to there.
Oh.
So the
Gotcha.
msp.amp.vg also doesn't have a ton of credibility when it comes to spam scores. It doesn't do well on SEO. But if you're looking for things just to put in front of folks and get emails out, it's great. The social media, I didn't run it for the longest time. I would literally repost articles that I found in places like Bleeping Computer, whatever. But when it came down to the actual like emails, it was really great for drip. Really great for, calling these people, putting their name inside of, getting their permission, putting their name in a list. And frankly, if they got hit with the spam because they didn't follow, it's on them, not you. So
Gotcha.
there's some really great parts to it. But once you start to mature and you get to a point where you have a salesperson, MindMatrix, it's time to graduate from it.
Yeah, that's cool. Because I would look at LFC, I didn't even know how many different services there were. Like there's like IT Rockstars, there's like Paul Green's, there's a couple different ones, and I've been like, I think it's cool. Like I think it's a needed thing to have good content, and I feel like we all have our strengths and weaknesses. So I'm just looking at like what are other people doing a lot better that we can kind of try and replicate. Like I know Paul Green's and other ones that do way better at like, what is it like I can't think of this, like current events stuff. Like, oh, this hack just happened or whatever. Like they're really good at current event stuff, and we are more evergreen content. So as we grow, we're gonna have a current events type division where it's like, hey, this is the stuff you need to get out this week.
You mean 0 days, basically.
Yeah, like stuff like that.
The
where
CDs,
it's like, oh,
things like that, Outlook thing.
LastPass breach, because I do think that's the type of content even someone that's not technical, they do kind of care about, and they do kind of engage
it gets
with.
noticed.
Yeah. So that is something that I know is a weakness of ours, and it's something that like again, like there's a couple massive deliverables we're coming on, and then once we get to a certain member number where we can kind of have Maddie on full time, that's gonna be a whole nother kind of division of it where it's like here, log into the latest events type thing. So probably just a couple months away.
Well, MindMatrix does do the 0 day blast. They're not pretty, like they're not like they won't necessarily match your brand colors and stuff, but the information you can always copy and paste it and put it into something you want. You can let it fire out. I mean, at the end of the day, if you don't have anything, it's better than nothing, and for the price, you can't beat it.
Yeah. Yep. Cool. Good to know. Well,
hey boys, I gotta go, and girls.
James, good to see you. Appreciate your engagement on social media.
Yeah, you're
Sean,
welcome. No, really.
good to see you. Jamie,
Good to see you.
Yeah. All right. Well,
So
thanks.
everyone
thanks
else
for doing this. That was great.
Yeah, hopefully it wasn't too much, but we're gonna get
guys.
better and better at
It's
these.
exactly like you said. If your head's spinning, it's because you're paying attention. That's how I feel. I'm getting a bit of a headache.
I'm looking forward to the next one, guys, but I gotta fly. Take care.
All right, see you guys.
See you
Bye,
soon.
everybody.